Let's move a snake today. Yes! What is going on, guys? Today we are going to move and talk and show my Taiwanese beauty snake and her new enclosure and some of the things that I've done to make what I think is a pretty cool enclosure for a Taiwanese beauty snake. But first, let's see the snake, then let's see the vivarium, then let's move her. Here is Tai in her old enclosure, sitting on what looks like a nice bit of urates, and she's well overdue to get her into the reptile room. She's been temporarily housed in a 4x2, which is completely inadequate for a snake this size. So there she is, she's ready to go. Let's go and talk about her enclosure. So this is her new enclosure. It measures 6 foot in width. It measures 3 foot in height and 2 foot deep. I've actually done it to the closest metric size, but it's roughly that kind of size. And some of the features are, we have got a rock wall background. I've done that with polystyrene. I've carved and created a rock-like texture using grout. The grout comes grey. And I hit it with a load of black with a spray bottle. Then I finished this one off with a polyurethane varnish. The main coolest thing about this is this root ball. I found a load of them in the woods, so I'm actually running out, which is annoying because I think they look awesome in enclosures. And then we've put some oak branches in, and also in there's a cheeky bit of silver birch as well. We've got a water bowl. I'll talk about the water bowl in a minute. And electronics wise, open this side up. We have got, so lighting wise, we've got a waterproof LED fitting that is for our visual lighting and our plant lighting. Our plants are not particularly light requiring plants. There's a lot of philodendrons in there, monstera, stuff that can grow. There's also pothos in there as well, stuff that can grow fairly rapidly under okay-ish light, and also can take a bit of a beating. I know I've got a cheeky little fern down there, so that's just a test. I like the ferns around the root balls. I think they look quite cool and quite natural. Anyway, back to the lighting. So we have got, yeah, as I say, we've got the LED twin fitting here. Actually, it's not a twin fitting, it's just an LED light fitting there. I bought that from Toolstation for those people in the UK. They go up really quickly, really easily, pre-wired. And then I've got a 550 millimeter long Pro T5. This is a Pro T5 kit from Arcadia, and it features a 6% UV B tube. Let's not get into the argument of if snakes need UVB. All mine have UVB, and all my snakes are cool. So that is my theory behind it. We have then coupled that up with an Arcadia deep heat projector. So it's an 80 watt deep heat projector. Could possibly go to the lower wattage for the Taiwanese beauty snakes, but I'm going with an 80 watt. It's on a thermostat anyway. See, I've got my probe set down here on the hot end. Wiring wise, I've made loads of effort to try and keep the wiring really neat, really tidy, and not allow her to get in the wiring and hang off of it. What I've also done up here is I've wired the UV fitting to the plant to the actual visible LED light there. That's wired into a junction box, which then goes off with one cable up to my electronics at the top, my timer. So that means just less wires, less hassle, less plugs. Everything's rated to the correct wattage, to the right amperage. So if you may need an electrician or get an electrician friend to advise you when you're doing that kind of thing, but for this lighting, running it off of a single plug top is absolutely fine. So there is that's my rundown of that. I've got it on a standard, cheap and easy dimming thermostat. That turns off. They get about 11 hours of heat and light a day, 10 to 11 hours. The Reptile room itself is heated, so the whole room doesn't drop below your low 20s. So I don't. Some vivariums I heat during the night, other ones I do. For the ones that do heat during the night, all that does is help keep the ambient temperature in the Reptile room. So the ones that don't heat during the night still stay at the right temperature. So I'm not worried about that at all. And then soil wise, this vivarium is bioactive. If anyone saw the last video, one of the last videos I did, I've waterproofed this enclosure, which means I can fill this up with soil, which means I can then plant it, which is pretty cool. So the soil is a mixture of cocoa fibre. There is cocoa fibre, there's topsoil, orchid bark, a little bit of play sand in there, and a little bit of Irish moss peat as well. Just mixed it all up together, made a nice substrate that will hold humidity. It doesn't have to be mega humid in here. It's not going to be soaking wet, but it holds enough to kind of keep plants, root balls, nice and wet when you water them. So this thing is brand spanking new in terms of the plants. It's been running for about less than a week now. So I'm just being a little bit impatient, but I know that the philodendrons and the pothos, it can take a battering from a snake. So I'm not too worried about them. They will just grow, and it means I can put the snake in. So what else have we got here? Obviously we've got the rock up there for her to bask on. We've got various different places for her to hide. We've created a bit of a natural layer here for her to bask under. So she's got this level, she's got the lower level. I've been running the vivarium with heat, as I say, for about a week, measuring the temperatures. These guys, some care sheets vary, but we're looking at about the high 20s for a basking spot, anywhere up to 29 degrees. I tend to keep mine at about 27 to 28 degrees on the hot side. Obviously she's got a massive area here to heat up, and she's got very different levels, and then she can escape the heat back down to the cooler end over here, 6 foot away, and back to the ambient temperature of the Reptile room. So that's the temperature I'm going for. Like I said, I don't heat them during the night, so we drop down to 20, 22 degrees at night, which is no problem at all. These guys are awesome snakes, awesome species, really hardy, eat anything, always eat. They're absolutely great snakes to keep, really cool. The only downside to them is I've met very few absolutely amazingly friendly ones. So I've rescued a few in my time at the sanctuary, and they've all tried and sometimes been pretty successful in getting blood out of me. So mine is no exception to that, by the way. So this is going to be fun. But anyway, this is her enclosure, and that's a little bit of an overview of what's going on inside there. Now, in terms of the water bowl, I know that it is common advice to use a water bowl that a snake can fit in. Now, bearing in mind she is a 7-foot snake, so she would need quite a large water bowl, and she does have a large water bowl in her enclosure. Now, I've had this snake for possibly 9, maybe 10 years. During that time, I have never seen her in her water bowl. So on that theory alone, I'm actually providing her with one of my standard size terracotta bowls. I'm obviously going to notice a change in her. It's going to be obvious if she's needing that requirement to be wet. But at the moment, I keep her on orchid bark, which is slightly more drier than what this enclosure is going to be naturally because of the damp soil in different areas for the plants. And she's never tried to sort of boost that humidity or soak or anything like that. As I said, I've monitored her for 10 years like that, so I'm fairly confident that this bowl will be absolutely fine. Completely happy to change it if that isn't the case. But with all my other snakes, I'm kind of keeping to the same bowl. It makes, in my head, that just makes it a little bit easier to do water changes. Everything's the same, everything's wiped down clean. It's the most unnatural looking thing in the enclosure, but it's the most important thing in the enclosure for her health. Okay, always have nice clean water. So for the snakes that are going to be properly swimming in their water and really use it, I've got, you know, false water cobras. Well, they're the main ones. The false water cobras are going to be the snakes that I'm going to make nice pools for. But for the Taiwanese beauty snake, in my opinion, not completely necessary as an adult to house them with a gigantic water bowl that you could, you know, a 7 or 8 foot snake can fit in. Okay, right, I think it's time to get her out. Okay, so because it's the end of the day and she's going to be right roiled up, she's going to be really warm, I'm going to use my hook. It will help eliminate some of the stress from trying to grab her with my hands. She's not used to being handled, pretty much the same as most of my snakes. So I'm going to, let's get her out and have a go. There you go. Yes. So here she is in her new enclosure. Let's talk a little bit about Taiwanese beauty snakes. So she is from a family of several species, such as cave racers, Vietnamese beauty snakes, and other stuff. She is native to Taiwan. As I said, I heat her to about 28 degrees on the hot end, down to room temperature, which in here gets to sometimes sort of 24, 23 degrees on the cool end. She eats anything from mice to day-old chicks to rats. You can really kind of vary it up. They'll eat anything. I mainly give her small or medium-sized rats. I try and keep her a little bit sleeker. Up till now she hasn't had the opportunity to really kind of climb. They're semi-arboreal, so they will climb and they're fully capable of climbing. So I've kept her kind of slender, but she always eats and she's absolutely really cool. So as I said, I've had her for almost 10 years. I took her from a friend as a hatchling, and they grow super quick. They're super active. They're one of the one of the snakes that I've got in the reptile room that is always watching you before you spot it. They're active during the day, they're active during the evening. So a really cool species to kind of watch and have. Really, really beautiful, and yeah, really easy to keep as well. So yeah, very rewarding snake. Anyway, I'm going to let her explore. The lights will go off in a couple of hours. So and she's got plenty of places to hide, both in the cool end, in the middle, underneath this big root ball. She has some stuff over there to keep hidden. But what I've found with these guys is they are nice and bold. Nothing really phases them. So I'm sure she'll enjoy this enclosure. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.